love generative AI. And I'm sure that many of you out there also love generative AI. I think I mentioned before in a previous show that something like 75 to 85% of people actually do use AI, generative AI, in their work, whether or not their company allows them to. They still do it. And 61% of small businesses use generative AI. So generative AI is being used by a lot of people for a lot of things. Now, sometimes it's used for technical things, sometimes it's used for writing things, sometimes it's used for great graphic design. And one of the things we do in our community, 10XU, is we use AI to help people improve their wealth, improve their health, improve their happiness, improve their productivity. So we focus on that kind of non-technical stuff. And one of the things that sort of drives me crazy about working with AI, and I'm not sure if you work with AI every day, but I work with AI every single day, especially when we put out our daily newsletter, aidaily.us, which is all about breaking news in AI curated by humans. So we look at all of the news of the day, and we curate that news of the day, but then we use AI tools to turn it into a blog post, turn it into a podcast, turn it into a video. Now, I do that every single day, and I use an AI chatbot to do a lot of that work and other tools to turn it into voice and to video. Now, one of the things that drives me insane about the current state of generative AI is wrangling. And if you know what I mean by wrangling is what the cowboys used to do when the cows were getting a little out of hand. You would have to reel them back in. You have to rope them back in and wrangle them back in. And project managers do this with people. People are familiar. Project managers are familiar with wrangling people. It's like herding cats. People have heard that term. So the problem with AI is that a lot of times you have to wrangle it too. I mean, it does not listen to instructions 100% of the time. So I have it creating a summary. So I put in a news story and I say, write a news story with all these particulars, this grade level, this headline, and it's got to be between 40 to 60 words. And for the longest time, maybe a few or 3 or 4 days, now I have about 10, 14 articles on each one of these issues. For maybe 2, 3, 4 days a week, it actually does exactly what I ask it for. I put in this article, it summarizes it, and it's between 40 to 60 words, and it has an appropriate headline, and it's perfect. And I put it right into the newsletter. Most of the time. And then sometimes, for some strange reason, it'll take what I've done and it'll do an 80-word summary or a 110-word summary. And sometimes it'll do like an entire blog post summary. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I told you already to do it this way, but you're doing it a completely different way. And you're doing it a completely different way, which is outside of the parameters from what I told you to do. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a machine I'm talking to. This is a computer. This is a device. Why would it do something like that? Why do I have to continually tell it to not do what it's doing? Why would it go out of its programmed parameters? Well, I'll tell you why it goes out of its programmed parameters. Because it's not really a machine. I said this before. It's amazingly large autocorrect. It's trying really hard to respond to what you're asking for. It's trying really hard. It's going back into its database of language, and it's going, I'm going to put this together as I've been instructed, as close as I possibly can. But if it thinks it can find a better way to respond to you, which is outside of its parameters that you've just given it, it will. That's why I'm saying before, it's almost like a misbehaving intern who is, wants to do a good job and is trying to please you, but sometimes goes a little out of the lines, colors a little bit out of the lines, goes a little bit beyond the guardrails. And then you have to keep pushing it back into the guardrails. So maybe we shouldn't be treating these generative AI like machines. Maybe we should be treating them, like I said, like unexperienced interns or lesser experienced interns who need a little bit of coaching to get to where they be. But if you think about it, this is a machine. It should be able to remember everything I've asked it to do, right? That's not the way it is. So we all got to do a little bit of wrangling to get these things to do what we want. And when it doesn't do exactly what you want, maybe sometimes it can create something that's really new and different and interesting and innovative. That's why when I give it prompts, a lot of times I don't give it a hugely detailed prompt because I want it to surprise me. And in some cases, when I've given it an extremely light prompt, like iconic representation of loneliness, I get something that could look like a work of art. That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.